Well, hi there. I am Andrew Watkins, and if you're listening to this while juggling 3 patient calls, checking in a couple patients, taking a payment, selling skincare, and trying to catch your doctor in between procedures, you might be working in an aesthetic practice.
And I'm Blake Lucas, and this is Practice Land. This is not your doctor's podcast. Welcome back to Practice Land. I'm your host, Blake Lucas. If you've been listening, you know I'm a senior director here at PatientFi for customer experience. Today's episode is all about that exact moment, the one where a patient wants to say yes, but just needs permission to do it. The how are you going to pay conversation can feel uncomfortable, but when it's handled with confidence and care, it becomes one of the most empowering parts of the patient experience. So today we're walking you through that exact process to weave affordability into the consult process naturally, confidently, and successfully. I'm really excited. We've brought together a fantastic panel of guests, so I'd like to jump right in and introduce them. Bridgette DeBrino is back. You might remember Bridgette from the August episode where we were talking about moving on without burning bridges. If you haven't listened to that, link is in the notes, so you definitely need to go back and listen to her incredible story. She's the Chief Executive Officer at Belvara Collective with over 15 years of experience in clinical care and marketing and operations. She helps independent providers thrive with the structure, support, and freedom they need to build sustainable and profitable practices. Thank you so much, Bridgette, for coming back.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
Awesome. Absolutely. Sara Amann is with us, patient care coordinator at Zelko Aesthetics, who's mastered the art of presenting financing as empowerment and is here to share her exact how-to with us all today. Welcome, Sara.
Thank you so much.
Of course. And of course, the incomparable Eva Sheie is back, our founder of The Axis, a podcast production and content marketing company helping aesthetics and wellness practices turn conversations into trust-building content that drives conversion. Eva, thanks for joining us again.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, anytime. Love to have you here. I'm really excited. So we're just going to dive right into this. Eva, I know you're a bit of a word junkie. Is that right?
I am a word junkie. Yes. I grew up without a television, and so I like words a lot because all I was allowed to do is read books.
All right. So I know we've been having conversations before about financing and payment plans and some of these words. What do you tell us a little bit more about that?
That's true. I actually have 2 practices that I help directly, and only because, there's 2 reasons. One is I like staying really close to what's happening in the practice, and the other is that both have been people I've worked with closely for a very long time, and so it would be weird not to. So that's a really great gift for me. And in one of them, just in the last, I would say 2 weeks, we've been working really hard to change the word we're using from financing to payment plans. And that's because that is a much more pleasant and less scary sounding way to talk about how are you going to pay for this? And I am curious for all of you, if you have been working yourselves through that same process, or if you've heard a difference in the way patients are talking to you about how they pay. Sara, you're new to the panel. Why don't you start and tell us what you're hearing?
For sure. So I never use the word financing ever. I always use monthly payment plan. I always have. It's a much softer way to present it. So guests never question it. If the question I ever do get, it would be, are they going to run my credit? Or what if I don't get approved for it?
Is that what they worry about the most, is like they're not going to get approved?
Yeah, that would be the biggest concern, is not getting approved. And truthfully, because a lot of guests have had other consultations elsewhere, so they've already applied for other financing where they've gotten declined. It's either that or personal situations where they know that they're not going to get approved.
Are you pretty good now at predicting who is going to get declined, and can you actually stop them before they do it?
For sure. So whole consultation process here. I have a call center in Tampa that qualifies my leads. So marketing gets the lead form, goes into HubSpot. call center calls the lead, walks them through basic information, gets the information that we need, and then sets them up for a consultation. So essentially, she's selling the consultation. She always pitches financing. I just said that word financing. I just said I don't use that word. She pitches monthly payment plans. And there are cases where she'll say, why don't you just see if you can get approved before you meet with Sara, if that's something that you need for sure.
Did you say HubSpot?
I did.
I've never heard anyone do that. Okay, now we got to find out more about this HubSpot thing. How are you using HubSpot?
HubSpot's our CRM. So yeah, we use HubSpot. We live in HubSpot.
That's an unconventional choice because most practices are trying to use something designed for aesthetics, right?
Yeah, no thanks.
How long have you been doing that?
I've used HubSpot here for 3 years.
Were you part of that process of deciding to use HubSpot?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a little bit of a side journey, but if you were going to go back again and make that decision again, or if you were going to talk to someone else who's considering it, like give us the 3 big bullet points of what you would need to think about if you were going to make an unconventional choice like that.
Sure. So biggest things for me was mass emails, mass texts, how many we can send out each month. We use Patient Now for everything with scheduling, RX Photo. But our call center lives in HubSpot, where that's how they work their leads. They're moving through the pipeline, and then marketing keeps an eye on HubSpot as well. So, I mean, I love HubSpot. I've never had any issues with it. Prior to this, we used Influx. I liked Influx as well.
Okay, that's really interesting. We might have to have you back to talk about that again some other time.
Yeah.
But today we're actually talking about your special secret ways. They're not secret. They're just smart ways of getting people to talk about money. So how long have you been there?
I've been with Zelko Aesthetics for almost 5 years.
So let's come back to the theme of words, because I know from good authority that you see financing as a permission slip. And I have to say, early in my adult life, I sold shoes because I absolutely was as broke could be, and I needed a job. And I learned so much from selling shoes. I'm so glad I did it. And I had this really cranky boss. They would call him a shoe dog in the shoe industry, right? Like those people who sold shoes for 50 years. And whenever someone was trying on shoes and wasn't going to buy, and they would like say, well, I have to go ask my husband. He would say, all right, you go get your permission slip and we'll see when you get back. He always called it the permission slip. So that's what that makes me think of. Can you tell us more about that, Sara?
I mean, financing, monthly payment plans, whatever you want to say, it's just part of what I do. So I've never presented a sale, I mean like ever, without presenting the monthly payment plan. Even if it's med spa, I always present a monthly payment plan. It takes the pressure immediately off them. It softens everything. And then not having a payment due for a month after a procedure is a huge bonus.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating. Just I hear that so often from different providers where they're able to like soften that conversation, right? It's not this like, for a lot of dollar conscious patients where if you start to quote that full price, that can be a bit of a sticker shock, but be able to talk to it as like a monthly payment plan that's, within budget and affordable, how that can quickly soften and make this conversation or like their idea of this whole procedure something that they can actually get finally. So I think that's fascinating that you're seeing that too.
Yeah, definitely. Always with everybody. And again, it's just part of the consultation process. So anybody who, even if they didn't think of payment plans before, if they hear, hey, we have 24 months no interest, first payments due a month after procedure, the first thing is, oh, well, I'll use your money over my money, or I'll do that,
Yeah, right.
this.
I think that's true of like even, I think sometimes we think that financing is for those that like struggle to afford it or don't have like the cash on hand to make that big of a purchase. But what I found is that those that have the means would much rather finance. And it's that same concept you just said, which is like, I'd rather use someone else's cash. And I think that's for those that, are lucky enough to have that cash on hand. That's their thought process. And they typically don't use their own cash when they make larger purchases. They know that like the power of having that liquidity and holding on to their cash. So I think sometimes we hesitate to bring it up to patients who we feel like might be or I might have more means because we think like, oh, this might be offensive to them in some way, but it's not. It's they actually want to hear about it, and they go, oh, once they hear that, they'll jump right on it because they know, like, I do this with everything. I always finance things, and if it's no interest for a certain period, like, yeah, then I can absolutely do that. And then that conversation just is like, okay, we're done there. Let's talk about everything else.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I love that you brought that up, Blake, because that was something that our team certainly struggled with. You'd never want to offend somebody by offering a financing option. And it is top of mind because it could come off like you're assuming or judging in some respects. So, Sara, I love that you just sit down and immediately from the start, this is just how we review our pricing, and it's built in for every single consultation and from the start. So it's not even a question, would you like to? It's, here are your options. Which one fits for your lifestyle? I think it's a very healthy approach.
For those of you who've coached both staff and providers on this, I think that's all three of you, really. What do you think holds them back the most from bringing it up?
Not knowing exactly how to do it. That's really it. And not knowing the ins and outs. So my biggest thing in a clinic, wherever I am, is making sure my staff can fluently speak payment plans. And they know how to set up a payment plan. They can go into PatientFi. They can go into the portal with the guest in an office and make sure everything's set up properly. I try to do everything I possibly can to make it smooth and easy where they don't have to do anything. So I get the license, make a copy. I do the application for them on Zoom or in my consultation. I type, they're with me. And then they approve it. And that's it.
I would agree with that. It's been difficult ensuring that everybody is on the same page with how the financing works. And I think that many providers get nervous that they're going to relay the information incorrectly. So we started to do collective trainings where everybody would have to go through the steps together. They'd watch somebody do it and then they would physically do it themselves. And then we were talking about it. So we tried to hit all the senses in those trainings because everybody learns differently. And by approaching it with that energy, it really did help the team to become more collective and understanding what they could offer, how they could offer it. And I have to say, PatientFi does a great job of making it very simple. I've worked with so many different payment plans over the years, and so many of them, even myself, I'm like, I'm sorry, can we do this again? I'd have to call my rep 500 times to make sure that I wasn't forgetting a step or wasn't misunderstanding a step or there was various offerings. I think PatientFi has done a fantastic job of just streamlining it. It's very simple. Again, it's user-friendly. It's you log in and it's intuitive. You know where you need to click and how you need to approach it.
That's fantastic feedback. I think our developers are going to be very excited to hear that. They love getting that kind of praise because we do spend a good amount of time focusing in on that. But I think what I love about what you just said there too is just like this idea of like an investment in your people. And Sara, you said kind of the same thing where it's taking the time to train your staff and make sure that they're confident in the program and the product, like that they have a full understanding of how this works, and you can give them that confidence to talk about it, and remove those those scary unknowns, and they have full confidence that they know what this process is going to look like from start to finish.
Sara, what % of your patients do you think, or if you know, what % opt into a payment plan instead of using another method?
About 70.
70.
Wow.
Wow.
Is there a moment that you prefer to bring that in? Like, where does it fit into your process?
Well, it starts on our website, with PatientFi. we have for higher credit scores, and then we have other options for lower credit scores. But that's where it starts. And then it gets brought up again with call center. And then in my consult, I review the entire process from like the second they open up my front door to their 6-month post-op. I present pricing, breaking everything down. I say, we ask for $500 down to book your surgical date. Balance can be paid off over 24 months, no interest. First payment starts a month after procedure date. Let me show you how that works. And I get the application. It takes me literally 30 seconds to do.
Mm-hmm. When the call center is speaking to somebody or when you are speaking to somebody, do you know already if they've applied?
When I am speaking to someone, yes, I know if they've applied. Yeah. So they always put a note in there.
There's a note. Yeah.
In the inpatient now. Yeah. And I, even with guests that have a high approval rate and I didn't use it all, I'll put the note in their chart too of how much they have to use still. So I know it's all a
how much they can add on.
It's all a system of what, and all being on the same page.
I love that like comprehensive approach. Like, I don't know if I've heard that very often from providers that take that kind of like time and care to like help them through that whole process. And even if you don't get approved, I can still be a part of that process to help you get to where we can say yes, right? Like I'm not giving up and then, okay, great. Yeah, sorry, I can't help you. Call me back when you have money, type of thing. It's like, no, let me take you through kind of then what's next. And there's always like an option, which I think is an amazing way of taking care of patients. Like, there's so many times where we just like cut the conversation right there. So I think that's very unique.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and we even put reminders where we reach out to them, hey, it's been 30 days, you can reapply, because people forget, life happens.
Yeah, right.
Time goes on, and sometimes I do get approvals off that after they were declined. So
have you thought about introducing a credit repair department in there?
Right.
Of course I've thought about it. I've partnered with, I've done it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
If she could, she would.
And it's a lot of extra work.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. But talk about thinking about outside the box for conversions.
Oh yeah. Yeah, totally.
There's so much there that could, turn into something amazing. And of course they're going to come back to you.
Yeah. Oh,
now there's this, loyalty almost built into it. It's like, look how much you've helped me financially. Like, of course I'm going to go with you to like help me physically.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. That's the biggest thing is helping them. My job is to help them make this happen, whatever that looks like.
But I think especially in these kind of like economic times where like people are uncertain and we're like, things are kind of all over the place and we're not quite sure what's going to happen next. And so people are a lot more, I think we've talked about it on previous episodes. People are kind of holding on to their cash a little bit tighter right now. Right. And these are some of the things that I think providers should be thinking about as far as like, how do I continue to like see conversions in an environment that's like pushing it back against that. It's not just what's happening in my practice. It's the world outside is keeping me from getting some of these conversions.
Yeah.
I really love that you said that. And it's interesting because putting people into more of a monthly payment can help them to enjoy these treatments as part of their lifestyle. So we've had a lot of successes framing it as a monthly membership and really just explaining that this is something that you are going to commit your time and resources to, but it's something that you can look forward to on a regular basis. And you can know that every time you make this payment, you're paying something towards you that makes you happy, that is giving you something that you need and want. And so reframing it as something along those lines, to your point, Blake, it's not so much just, I want to splurge or I want to treat myself. No, this is part of life now. We all want to feel our best as we go about our day-to-day life. It's going to help us with our careers. It'll help us with our confidence. It helps us with our happiness. That's important. That's a priority. It's something that should always have been something that we put front and center. And now you're just working it into your lifestyle versus treating it as something that you just get like a little treat from every once in a while.
Who among us would not get their hair done on a regular schedule? Like, we don't even think twice about it, right?
Right.
Do any of you listen to calls, when you're trying to help your teams do better? And this applies to you too, Blake. Do you spend time listening to calls where people are having these conversations?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, 100%. Have to. We've well, obviously we're a bit of a call center, right? So we're constantly coaching and listening into calls. Something we've tried to do is we have quality assurance tools. So we use AI to analyze every phone call conversation, every email, every chat that comes through. And it's measuring things like empathy and a solution driven conversation. And then there are some of the like technical things like greeting and saying like the required scripts or whatever it may be that are in there. But a big part of that is like understanding tone, and is this person upset, or does our person sound upset or like losing their patience? And it can give us that. And so, we're having tens of thousands of conversations. And so for, a leadership team, it's impossible for us to stay on top of all that without this type of technology. And it's something we implemented over the last year that has really been a game changer for us, because now we can pull these conversations and pinpoint exact moments where, hey, we lost our patients here, and like we need to show more empathy, or no, you did an amazing job, and reinforce that positive behavior to say like specifically what you said here, these words, the way that you said them, the way you paused and listened, like all these types of things we can actually now call out and be very specific about, and then reinforce like the positive and try to work on like the opportunities. So there's technology that we've implemented there. But absolutely, I think, it's critical that you're listening to every, as many calls as you can, and providing that in the moment feedback to staff.
What I love about that is you are listening to the calls as a body of work and not just randomly selecting one that might be atrocious and then going to that person and trying to manage them over the worst call they ever had, which is the
Yeah.
one you happen to randomly select.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And we've all, that's we've all had those moments where there's just something that triggered us, right? And we just couldn't, like this one individual just wasn't, we just did not click, and whatever it was, I couldn't get through to them, and they were, so that, yeah, you can't judge them on just like that one individual call. So this allows to kind of score every call that they've had and give you kind of a general idea of where they are, and then bring to the surface some of the ones that like you should listen to. So it's a pretty powerful piece of software. We're a Zendesk house. It's powered by that. So if anyone's out there interested in something like that, that's what we use.
Sara or Bridgette or both of you, how do you listen to calls and coach your teams on their phone call skills?
So all of our calls are recorded. We use GoToConnect, and call center, who runs the call center, her name is Vicky. She's been with me since day one. So our language we speak the same exact language. So it just flows really well. I think that's crucial for consultants to make sure that the conversation, if they do have a call center, that is continued from what started all the way through, and then my conversation through to Dr. Zelko. We all say the same thing. We all do the same thing. So it's just, nothing's foreign to anybody on our team. So as far as listening to calls, I'm lucky that I don't have to listen to a lot of her calls. I know exactly what she says. I can mouth what she says, because we say the same thing. But new, like front desks, even some nurses, making sure that they just know our language. We don't say armpits, say underarms. Like I have a list of things that drive me crazy when girls say it. So I train them from day one to not say it.
I'm going to need that list of words from you.
Yeah.
I'll send it over.
I think I'm the same way though when it comes to some of those words. Like it's so important. Like it's a branding thing almost. Like it's like it's an experience, right? It's like it's those tiny little details that make everything special, I feel like.
It really does. And I love that we can use the technology that's coming out to make us better. Everybody's so nervous that AI is going to replace us all, and maybe it will. I can't speak on that one, but I love how that software that you explained, Blake, is using it to just help us to be our best version, because many of us have word whiskers and we don't even know we have them. And I get caught on this a lot. If my husband's home while I'm taking a meeting, afterwards, he'll he'll bring up different things. He's like, wow, that person said like every 2 seconds. How is that not driving you crazy? And I didn't even hear it. I didn't even notice. And when I go back and reflect on it, it's like, wow, they really were. But sometimes we're so caught up in the moment, or if we're in a pattern that we're very familiar with and that we're doing constantly, those things can slip by us because it's not something that we are as attuned to. But the person on the other end who's just hearing it for the first time or engaging with it in a new way, they may pick up on it right away. So I love that we now have these tools, because to your point earlier, can you imagine listening to 10,000 calls? It's absolutely impossible. That's more than your full-time job. You wouldn't be able to do anything with the data that you got from the 10,000 calls.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you'd be totally brain dead by the end of it. Like it just doesn't work.
Exactly. So we've got these tools to help us make it more efficient. And then I love that we can call out the pros, and then we can call out the areas of opportunity. I think that's absolutely fantastic. I'm excited. I want to look into that. I'm glad you shared that little tidbit. It sounds really, really helpful.
Yeah, that has kind of been or at least my view of AI is that it should never fully replace human beings. Like there's no way to do it. And there have been examples of large companies that have fired off hundreds of staff to replace them with an AI just to roll it back and realize this is a mistake. Like it doesn't work. It's not ready. There are definitely ways of inputting AI to make life better for everyone and make them more efficient. So like that's like one way that we do it. We also have other tools that help us with analyzing and identifying issues quickly so that our staff can then take the correct steps, right? It's like this assistant that's always there that helps. For the most part, like those, when you need a human, we're right there. Like it should always be just seconds away from getting to a human being that can fully understand what you're trying to do. And so I don't think that's ever going to go away. But this like assistant or like an amendment to it, right? Like that makes our people better and more efficient is, I think, the best way to look at AI.
Absolutely.
I just yesterday was with one of the tools I use trying to upgrade, and I was using the online chat, and the AI would not connect me to a salesperson. It was like, what is the magic word? I'm trying to spend money. So I think you got to make sure if you're going to take steps like that, that you're not shooting yourself in the foot from people who are like sitting here ready to transact like that.
Absolutely.
Sometimes the magic word is just like some cuss words just to get it to be like, oh, this needs to go to a human. Like this is getting out of hand.
You get a big red flag. Like this one's angry. Don't answer this one. She's mad.
Yeah. Next. So,
Sara, when you look back at 5 years, can you share any data, even just percentages, not actual numbers, about the growth?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've quadrupled his sales in the first 6 months, and gone up since from there. Like literally because of monthly payment plans. So like it just blows my mind again why everybody doesn't use this. So
that's tremendous.
Yeah, I mean, he was doing the consultations. So any doc that's still doing a consultation and still selling their procedure, in my opinion, and I've been around, why are you doing that? Why are you wasting your time doing that? Like I want him in procedure. That's what he does best.
Oh, wait, he doesn't do any consultations?
No, I do all consultations.
Wow.
That's also really different.
Yeah.
So, and I know that I'm familiar with the models where you came from, and that's standard there, but in private practice, that's also pretty unusual.
I know it is, but it works.
How do you transfer trust from you to him on behalf of that patient?
So he does a pre-op. So after I close the deal, I get them booked for their procedure date. I always book them usually a week to 2 weeks before a pre-op with him, either virtual or in the clinic. And I always book their 1 week follow-up right away, just so I have their 3 dates right away. I sell him in my consult, because I believe in him. I know what he's capable of doing, and he's a good human, so it just plays out in the entire practice. He's honest. He takes care of his patients. He doesn't rush. So it's easy for me to do it. It's so easy for me to sell him, but I really don't ever sell the actual procedure per se. Like I don't really sell light or tummy tuck. I'm selling him first because first they have to trust me, and then I sell him. and then I sell the procedure of what he's doing, and I just make it happen. And it's a straight line sale, I mean, it just goes, it works.
There's a lot more there that we're going to need to know about in the future. So thank you, Sara. Truly amazing. Is there anything that you think we missed in the topic of the payment plan conversation?
I think that the biggest thing that consultants miss is they send the link out. It makes me twitch when people do that. Because nobody's going to go back and look at that link. You know what I mean? I mean, very rarely. So even if I can't get the sale done that day, I can promise you that I have PatientFi. I have it printed out. I show them, all right, email it to them, their monthly payment plan. They already know if they're approved. I mean, whatever it takes, that's the biggest thing, is whatever it takes to make it happen for them, is what you have to do.
Bridgette, any final thoughts?
I love how dedicated you are to helping them find success with this, Sara. And I think that's something that can be shared amongst other teams. And even if you're a solo provider, just being dedicated to the success of your patient from start to finish, that includes this conversation. It starts with this conversation. Otherwise, they never get to become your patient. So I love how seriously you take it and how diligent you are in your efforts to continuously expand how you can be a partner to them. So I'm walking away with a lot of good nuggets.
Definitely.
The word of the day is tenacity.
Nice. I think one of the things I think is incredibly important too is just how being transparent and just how clear communication upfront can just set the tone for the entire experience that they're going to have. And so, it's for us, obviously in the financing world, being transparent is not just good practice; it's legally required for us. So we, we have to do that. But some of the things I've been hearing y'all say is just I think right on point with that, which is just making sure that you're providing as much clear information up front and taking them through that process. We talked about how so many people don't have an understanding of financing, so meeting them where they are and showing that empathy and providing clear and concise information so that fear or that doubt about payment goes completely away. And now you can focus on kind of what it is that they really want to be able to accomplish. And so I think for us, from our side of it to the practice side of it, I think that's one of those things that's so important. And reinvesting in your people to make sure that they're ready for that conversation is so important, that they feel confident to have that. Because if they do that, then that their interactions are going to pay dividends. So
definitely. And accepting the payment plan, that's another big.
Yes.
So I have
that final step.
The final step. So that is somebody else that I have that does that. So she just runs payments and she calls them. Sometimes she'll share the screen, she'll share their portal, she'll make sure that they pick the plan that they want, help them set up auto pays, because that's another reason where people get busy and they can't accept it, or they just don't know what to do and they get flustered and then they forget about it. So yeah, we have a strict protocol with how payment plans must be processed before a procedure.
Oh my gosh, so we could have a whole episode on that. I think there's actually a big part of that, which is because that's what our team deals with quite a lot is, hey, I can't get this patient to finish this thing. I need your help. And so we jump in and make that it's literally that last button, just click that and then we're done. And sometimes, for those that are not technologically advanced, it's tough. It can be a frustrating experience for sure. So
sometimes
love that you have someone dedicated just for that.
I know from going through this with the two practices that I support that PatientFi's team has been amazing at training and supporting wherever they are in the process of getting their heads around this, or if they're at the Sara level and they're experts, that the PatientFi team is so good at this. So there's my 2 cents for that. Where can we follow you online, Sara? Either you yourself or the practice, whichever one you want us to see.
So ZelkoAesthetics.com.
Okay.
Is our website, and my email is Sara@Zelko Aesthetics.
With no H.
With no H, Sara. Zelko.
And Bridgette, how about you? Where can we find you?
You can find us at belvara.com. Then you can find us on social media, LinkedIn, and you'll see my emails splattered all over there. So feel free to reach out anytime. Always love to connect with people in the space.
Thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you. And listeners, if you have a question for anyone on our panel that you want us to answer on a future episode, send us a message at practicelandpodcast.com. And of course, stay fabulous, and we'll see you next time. Got a wild customer service story or a sticky patient situation? Send us a message or voicemail. If your tale makes it into our She Did What segment, we'll send a thank you gift you'll actually love. Promise, no cheap swag here.
Are you one of us? Subscribe for new episode notifications and more at practicelandpodcast.com. New episodes drop weekly on YouTube and everywhere you can listen to podcasts.